Welcome, beautiful people, to Petrify the Patriarchy. I'm your guide, Joe B. If you're ready to unearth the subtle ways patriarchal culture has shaped your world and uncover the hidden power within your own shadow, you're in the right place. Here we don't just speak truth to power, we wield it, turning stagnant energies to stone so that your authentic, liberated self can truly flourish. Let the unlearning begin. Hello. I know it has been a minute. I've had a lot of life happen in the last month or so, and I've really been struggling with how do I share my experience, my story around loss and grief, and how does that fit into patriarchal structures? And I haven't found a really solid way to express that. So while I've been like writing scripts and bulleting points, and I'm just not there yet. So I'll get to it. But in the meantime, I've had some other lifey things that feel a little bit humorous. So I feel like this is a good spot to share that with all of you. I'm calling this "We Don't Orbit Suns: The Sovereign Guide to Modern Dating." So for those of you who are just tuning in, hi, I'm Joe B. And this is Petrify the Patriarchy. So let's dive in. Today we're talking dating and language and hidden messages as it pertains to patriarchal culture. And I want to bring this to you because I have been very suddenly inundated by men approaching me in recent weeks. I'm finding myself in a really unique place right now because I have spent most of the last 5-ish years purposefully not dating. No swiping, no texting, no random conversations in weird hours of the day or night, no eye contact at the grocery store. Like I have definitely been only solely selfishly me focused in a very spiritual sense, and what I want or need for my life to feel expansive. And I honestly feel like dating men to be pretty minimizing. And so that, that could have a lot to do with, my past horrific experiences. And most definitely socialization is in that vein too. But, I haven't been hiding. It's not like, I don't want to meet my person. That's very, very much there for me. I have been, and I continue to be solely focused on expanding my personal universe. And that again doesn't mean I haven't closed myself off entirely to finding my person, but I did make that pact with myself that I wasn't going to swipe anymore. And anyone coming into my life would have to do so organically, right? And I mean that by I do all the day-to-day things, grocery store at the end of the workday, friends introduce me to somebody, work, what have you, right? Like my normal day-to-day actions. But even then, my energy has been really closed off. I've not been interested in this aspect of my life. And so really energetically, physically I'm not putting myself out there, but then energetically that's also matching that aspect, right? So I made my world pretty small. I said no to a lot of things. I kept to my besties and my family and my dogs, and that was pretty much it. And then suddenly within the last month or so, energy shifted, and these organic encounters are happening. And but organic, I'm not, it doesn't automatically mean sovereign, right? I'm out of practice. I don't know what I'm doing. And so that organic piece is there. I'm meeting men organically, doing the things that I do, but I'm still not fully sovereign in what I'm experiencing. So to suddenly have experiences that are organic from doing the lifey things, I have spent some time in this last month really doing a deep dive for myself. So in this episode, I'll be talking about how women experience an ick factor when meeting a man, or that slog through innuendo and vague language. I will also offer to men an antidote to this. How not to give the ick, and using language that is respectful and offers a glimmer. Please give us a glimmer of seeing the woman in front of you as her spiritual self, her essence, rather than merely eye candy. Please and thank you. So this conversation really perfectly bridges the gap between the institutional power structures and the interpersonal ones that we have discussed in previous episodes. The exact same mechanics a corrupt school district uses to handle a grievance are used on dating apps every single day. It's through plausible deniability, shifting the burden of truth, and testing boundaries via ambiguity. So when a man uses shallow compliments or vague innuendos, he isn't just being a bad dater, he's deploying a linguistic probe. He's testing your firewall to see if you will accept manufactured consent. What is manufactured consent? It is the tactic of engineering a yes without ever having to ask for it honestly. It is compliance masquerading as free will. I feel like I need to say that again. It's the tactic of engineering a yes without ever having to ask for it honestly. It is compliance masquerading as free will. When brought down to the level of patriarchal hierarchies, workplace dynamics, dating apps, etc., manufactured consent can be defined like this: the tactical engineering of compliance by manipulating an individual's need for safety, validation, and belonging, leaving them to navigate a rigged choice architecture where a no carries psychological, social, or professional penalties. In this realm, manufactured consent means you didn't actually agree. You navigated a hostage situation. Your yes was extracted by a system or a person that made the alternative, that could be isolation, failure, being labeled as difficult, it feels too dangerous to choose. So I want to start there to make sure we're all on the same page, all right? Manufactured consent. So let's talk about shallow compliments and the ick, right? Let's talk, this is coming through plausible deniability at this point, all right? In patriarchal communication, ambiguous language is a tool of power over someone. We're all on this ladder. Somebody who's using ambiguous language to you in terms of dating is likely believing themselves to be a rung or two above you. They want to see how much overage they have, how much control, how much, fill in the blank there, right? How much more do they have than you, okay? So when a man throws out a vague sexual innuendo or a superficial compliment, he is deliberately leaving room for mixed messages. I have a story. This happened about a month ago. I was at the grocery store. Remember, I haven't put myself out there in roughly 5 years. I don't think about the potential anymore. I just go about life trying to get my things done so I can go about life to do the things I really want to do, right? So when I'm at the store trying to determine what I'm going to take for brunch with the girls the next day, I didn't expect an excuse me to turn into a full-blown conversation. Well, it was him trying way too hard to converse with me. I was immediately put off. My gut was full of ick from the get-go, and because I'm so out of practice, I didn't really fully pay attention to that ick and allowed this man to fawn all over me, complimentary speaking, and stood my ground listening to him tell me how amazing I look, which I know. I take care of myself. I like to go out put together. I looked in the mirror. I know I'm okay today, right? How I'm different. Yes, I know that too. Have you seen my hair? It's red and purple right now. If you're watching the YouTube, you can see it. And if this is the other thing, threw me over the edge. And if I like a man to take care of me by rubbing my feet, I kid you not. Do you like your man to take care of you by rubbing your feet? And then he said, you look like you take care of your feet. And I almost laughed in his face. I'm pretty sure I did chuckle. I almost laughed out loud, like full-blown, like cartoon mode. And I replied, okay, well, yeah, sure, all right. That's great. But I prefer to have my heart and my mind taken care of before that. To which he said, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, trying to backtrack. Like that was implied somehow in these shallow fucking compliments. And then he asked for my number. Men, if you're listening, here's what I need you to pay attention to. I did give him my number. Not because I was enamored or was enjoying our energy exchange, but because my past experiences have had to make me think of my safety first. So listen to me here. I did not give him my number because he swept me off my feet. I gave it to him because I had to calculate my safety in the parking lot if I had said no. Does that lead to stalking? Does that lead to, how hard is it to take a picture of a license plate, right? That is the definition of manufactured consent. He got my number because he did not make me feel safe to say no. So, right, I didn't need someone following me to my car. I didn't need him grabbing identification or following me through the store. Let's not do stalker stuff here, right? I have to think through this in this moment. And it was the safer option for me to give my number and then play this game from afar. So he wins because he has access through the lens of the shallow attributes, right? Not even trying to understand the essence of me in those few minutes that he was conversing at me, right? And most of the time, women are conditioned to accept those compliments as meaningful when in fact it's a boundary bypass. We have to put up with the ick more than you could possibly imagine. The trap here is shown in conversation that leave you wondering, especially if there's a lot of innuendo or inferring or vague messages, right? Breadcrumbing. Here's the trap with that tactic. If you play along, he wins access he didn't explicitly ask for. And if you call it out, he deploys the defense, it's just a joke, you're taking it too seriously. How does this connect to the research that I've talked about in the past? This is the exact same mechanism as institutional gaslighting. It forces you, the woman, to carry the emotional labor of defining the boundary while he remains in total safety and isolation from no. He wants your consent, but he's too fragile to ask for it clearly. How do we reclaim the ick? Let's look at this as a sovereign firewall, right? We've been conditioned to we've been conditioned to laugh off the ick as petty, superficial dating reaction, right? But through the research lens, the ick is something deeply holy within ourselves. And it's our intuition flagging that boundary bypass, okay? Here's where using Medusa's snakes as sensors comes in handy, all right? When you feel that sudden twist of revulsion at a shallow comment, that is your internal system realizing that this person is looking at your shell, the jewelry of who you are, not the essence of who you are. Now, we've talked about Wetiko here in the past. I'd say go back and listen to a few other episodes. But let's do the Wetiko check here. The ick happens when your intuition detects that someone is treating you as a potential high-yield host. Someone that they can extract attention from, validation from, sex from, without offering relational wisdom in return. That's an important one to sit with. Let's look at the anatomy of coercion. True consent versus compliance. True consent requires absolute clarity and the total safety to say no. No, not even a little bit, okay? But the total safety behind it. Not feeling compelled to say yes because something about the situation feels unsafe. In my romantic relationships and dating history, I can honestly say I've never had that safety. I'll save the details for another podcast. But I state this here so that if there are men listening to this, I want you to think, do you offer total safety to say no? Or are there hidden traps somewhere in your actions that make a woman say yes when it feels easier to be coerced than to say no? When I think about the number of times I have been coerced into sexual encounters, it's probably 90% of my encounters. It was easier to just do it and get it over with for survival purposes. It's a horrific number to think about, And it's horrific to think that most of my sexual encounters were rape via coercion. And I say that, even when I was married, even when I was in a consenting relationship, most of the time it was coercion, not something I wanted. I'll let that one sit there for a minute too. For women, how the patriarchal validation trap makes us crave a yes so badly that we ignore the warning signs in our bodies. What is it out there that tells us that we're not a whole person unless we're with someone? And who cares if that person is good for us? Who cares if they treat us well? Who cares if we feel safe with them? We're a whole person now. We've got a relationship, right? So let's talk about language. All right. We're going to continue my story for a minute. I did spend a bit of time texting the grocery store man for the next week or so, and certainly was feeling really sluggish and uninterested in texting back. So I messaged, but I would easily let 24 hours go by so I could text when my guts weren't twisted in a knot. And I want to be clear here. I wasn't playing hard to get. It was my intuition demanding a buffer from the ick he gave me. We made a plan to meet up the following weekend when we were in the store. And for reference, the store I was at was less than 2 miles from my house. And I live in a really great neighborhood. There's lots of restaurants and coffee shops and bars within walking distance. And so imagine my surprise when he made plans at a bar 20 miles away in a town that's meh at best. I confirmed the date the day before, and he said, yeah, good to go. So date day, I went about my day, had my regularly scheduled Zoom appointment. I fed my dogs. I took them for their walk. I changed my clothes, touched up my hair, and I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, yeah, I should be leaving here in the next, 15 minutes. And I grabbed my phone from the charger, and sure enough, he'd messaged me. Hey, I'm not really feeling like going out, but you're welcome to come here for a glass of wine. Wonder what that means. Oh, God. The motherfucker. It's not like he didn't know this wasn't coming. The ick was there the whole time. He was fishing for compliance without risking a fucking dime or a fucking ounce of effort. None of that. He wasn't willing to spend any money on me, and he was not about to get dressed up and meet me somewhere and have civilized conversation to get to know the essence of me. He was not going to put that out there. He just wanted a good fuck. I could not respond quickly enough, and I simply said, no worries, another time, and then blocked him. The relief was instant, immediate. 1,000 pounds had been lifted right off of me. And I was feeling pretty good about the fact that all of the signs lined up. I understood what my body was telling me. And I needed this experience to remind myself, I'm not going to sit here and just do a bunch of people pleasing. I'm taking care of my mental self, my spiritual self, my physical self by listening to that intuition. It was a really great reminder. And so because I was feeling so good and I had, just cleaned up, I'm like, well, great. I'm going to go across the street and get a bite to eat and a drink. And so I sat down at this really great place. I go there often. And started having conversation with the staff and got a wave of really fun, flirty energy from them that I really enjoyed versus the shallow compliment grocery store guy. Why did that feel good? Because it was an equitable, horizontal, relational, mutual exchange of presence now in the moment. Whereas grocery store guy was a vertical evaluation trying to extract me as an asset. So here's where we need to stop and take some stock of things. The shallow compliment is an evaluation, not a connection. It sets up a hierarchy where he is the judge of your value. Bullshit. The ambiguity play, when men use innuendo to fish for compliance without risking rejection. And the ick. Stop apologizing for it. Full fucking stop. The ick is your evolutionary antivirus deleting man spam files before it infects your system. Don't infect your system. Here are some antidotes for women. All right. So let's reclaim our sovereign dating identity. This is power with, right? Radical clarity. Demand clear language. If a message leaves room for a mixed signal, the signal is no. Absolutely the fuck not. Step off the ladder. Refusing to treat dating as a game where you have to earn a man's validation to prove your worth. I no longer chase, beg, or otherwise demand someone's time. If I have to spend my time or energy in those realms, I'm out. You're forcing me to put in the emotional labor rather than sharing that load with me. Nope, I'm done. I'm here to take care of myself, not a man-child. Antidotes for men. If you're a man listening to this and you want to know how to approach a sovereign woman without giving her the ick, here's your playbook. Drop the script. Stop using generic, evaluative compliments. Don't comment on her shell. If you can't notice something about her spirit, her energy, her essence, her mind, stay fucking silent. Otherwise, you're just creepy. Offer an easy no. When you ask for a number or a date, explicitly build in the exit ramp. Say, no worries if you're not available or not looking. True masculinity operates through a feminine lens first, because you will provide safety for a woman to say no to your face without fearing for her life. Match her effort. If she is stepping into the relationship web with you, meet her with radical clarity. No innuendo, no breadcrumbs, no vague invitations to your couch. Speak with direct, respectful intent. Here's our dating clarity audit for today. Question 1. I'll have these in the show notes, by the way. The burden test. When communicating with this person, am I the one constantly clarifying the context, or are they speaking with direct, respectful clarity? Question 2, the compliment scan. Does their praise feel like an authentic recognition of my spirit, my essence, my holistic self? Or is it a generic script meant to test my compliance? And 3, the ick. Honor it. The last time I felt the ick, did I ignore it because of the validation hook? It told me to be nice, to people please, to fawn? Or did I trust my firewall? Here's our dating mantra for the week. My boundaries do not need to be softened to make room for your fragility. If your language is ambiguous, my answer is an absolute no. Plain and simple. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm Jo B signing out. I would love to hear your thoughts on the antidotes or the dating audit questions. Please feel free to find me at movingmaxim.com or message me, movingmaxim@gmail.com. Until next time, we'll see if I can get to the grieving stuff that I was talking about. If not, maybe we'll just keep going on the dating thing. That was a fun one to talk about today. All right, all. Bye.